So our first competition was like a backyard pros versus Joes kind of thing on the 4th of July. That was supposed to, it was chicken wings, pork steaks, and tri-tip and ribs. I think maybe there was ribs too. I don't exactly remember, but part of it was they gave you a bunch of chicken wings you had to hand out for people's choice. So we had no idea what we were doing. Obviously, we've got a couple Weber kettles, offset, one you'd buy from Lowe's, and a Weber Smoky Mountain we had borrowed from a neighbor. Pretty sure I dropped the water pan in the Weber Smoky Mountain down on the fire at one point. All kinds of chaos, but we were able to get some chicken wings smoked and then fried up for the People's Choice, and ended up winning the People's Choice that day. I think we were last in all the blind box categories that you turn in, but we got a trophy with a plastic chicken and a couple $100 check, and that set things off for the next almost 10 years.
Lego ham barbecue, Lego ham barbecue, Lego ham barbecue, Lego ham barbecue. Get your barbecue on, get your barbecue on, get your barbecue.
Welcome to another episode of BBQ Therapy. I am Tavis Bryant, and today we're going to St. Louis with one of the top pit masters making serious waves on the competition scene. Joining me is Brian Peyton of Meet Me in St. Louis barbecue team. Brian recently took home the grand champion title in the open division of the KCBS World Invitational, proving that his flavor game is second to none. Beyond his impressive wins, Brian is known for consistency, attention to detail, and commitment. So buckle up as we talk all things competition barbecue, his secret sauce for winning, and that passion for cooking barbecue. Brian, welcome to the Barbecue Therapy Show. I got one rule: make yourself at home. I have no sponsors, so you speak freely.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tavis. Glad to be on, and thanks for having me.
All right, no problem, no problem. First of all, I'd like to start off with everybody's name. How did you come up with your name and the inspiration for that?
I guess to tell the backstory of when I got started in competition barbecue is a lot of folks, it was 2014, 15-ish. Barbecue Pitmasters was on, and I would watch it a lot. My dad would watch it a lot, and we decided we wanted to try out a barbecue competition with my dad and I. And so we were coming up with the names, and there's a famous movie, I guess, from like the World's Fair days of Meet Me in St. Louis. I should probably know more about the history, but my dad came up with that, and we stuck with that. And then, of course, once you get a name, you got to get a logo, and got with a friend of our family that was a graphic designer, and kind of came up with an idea of the arch kind of roasting a pig,
Mhm.
and she came up with that. That's what we've been since about 2015, 2016.
Okay, okay. And before that, when did you first discover barbecue? How did you grow up practicing grilling or?
Yeah, so I grew up with my dad cooking ribs and grilling on the Weber kettle. We grilled a lot at home, I think just because mom didn't like to cook inside that much, so dad would fire up the Weber kettle, and whether it was steaks or chicken breasts or anything like that, and then every now and then he'd do some ribs. I remember he had this old one of those like cheap master built kind of like bullet style smokers,
Hmm.
and he'd cook a slab of ribs all day, and that was pretty special. And then 4th of July, it was him and his brothers cooking pork steaks, and I remember everyone else would use. There's a local sauce here in St. Louis called Malls, which I don't really care for, and everyone seems to love it. But my dad would always find some kind of more artisanal barbecue sauce, and by artisanal back in the day, Stubbs or Casey Masterpiece, nothing like what we have now. But he always took pride in not using just regular old Malls and making the best pork steak on 4th of July family get-togethers and stuff like that. That's what barbecue was to me prior to competition, and then, like I said, just when Barbecue Pitmasters was out, I think I would say a lot of teams that are competing now and kind of started in that mid 2000 teens were folks that came up watching Pitmasters on TV.
Yeah, yeah. When was the moment that you realized that, hey, I'm pretty good at this? I think I'm gonna try my hand at competing.
Man, we would just cook in the neighborhood, and I don't know that if I realized that I was pretty good. It was just it seemed fairly natural, and then of course once you get into competition, you find out how not good you are on the competition side, and so that was that rude awakening. Like most teams, the first competition you do, you get a call, and that kind of sets the hook. And several $100,000 in grills and smokers later, here you are.
That's definitely true. So, do you cook with your dad all the time, or you cook by yourself sometime? How did it?
Yeah, yeah. No, I've done over the years. I've done a couple competitions where my dad couldn't make it if he was on vacation. I don't really too. It's our thing that we do together. We each kind of have our own duties and responsibilities, and we really got into this and continue to do it because we enjoy spending time together and with our barbecue family. So
Mhm.
doing it without him just doesn't really, you know, it's to the point where if he can't make it to a competition, I'd just assume stay home myself.
Yeah, I understand that is bonding time as well as competing time as well as fellowship time with the fellow pitmasters. So it's definitely understandable.
Absolutely.
I feel like that is a void, is something missing if that other person's not there. So I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
Have you taken any classes in between when you first started and where you're at now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've taken quite a few classes. I really think that barbecue classes are kind of like continuing education for whether it's your professional career, if you're in accounting or IT or law or medicine or anything like that. Take anything you can do to kind of refresh your knowledge and maybe pick up little tips and tricks and stuff like that. I don't necessarily take one a year, but it's probably pretty close to taking one class a year, just trying to stay up on everything, stay relevant.
Yeah, definitely. Because I've taken 5 classes. I take one, maybe two a year, just to see what other people
Yeah.
do. And Chris was the first one that had the drums, so I definitely needed because that's what I want to
Yeah.
cook on. But a lot of them do the same thing, but there's little things here and there. But also what they cook on it makes a big difference. But it's definitely
100%.
what they do is just all of them preach the same thing. It's simplicity,
Yeah.
time management, and stuff like that is very important. So you hear the same thing, you know what the main points that you got to get out of it. And for those that don't know, I met Brian at Chris Schaefer's barbecue class, the excellent prime rib that I'll never forget. And it was a fun time. It was a fun time, but I definitely had to get him on the show because I had to thank him for that prime
Yeah.
rib and his help with the class.
Absolutely. And that's one of those things too. You talk about simple, right? We just season it up and throw it on the drum and slice it. Like there's nothing to it, and people think that they're eating one of the best pieces of beef they've ever had, and it's just like you said, keeping it simple and enjoying it.
Exactly. It's just knowing how to cook, mainly just knowing when it's done, when it's tender enough, and when it's
Yeah,
right. That's where a lot of people don't. Everybody can put seasoning and all these types of other stuff on there, but it comes down to if you don't know when the meat is done, you wasting your time.
100%.
So, do you remember? Take us back to you remember your first competition? How did that go? And
Yeah. So our first competition was like a backyard pros versus Joes kind of thing on the 4th of July. That was supposed to, it was chicken wings, pork steaks, and tri-tip and ribs. I think maybe there was ribs too. I don't exactly remember, but part of it was they gave you a bunch of chicken wings you had to hand out for people's choice. So we had no idea what we were doing. Obviously, we've got a couple Weber kettles, offset one you'd buy from Lowe's, and a Weber Smoky Mountain we had borrowed from a neighbor. Pretty sure I dropped the water pan in the Weber Smoky Mountain down on the fire at one point. All kinds of chaos, but we were able to get some chicken wings smoked and then fried up for the People's Choice, and ended up winning the People's Choice that day. I think we were last in all the blind box categories that you turn in, but we got a trophy with a plastic chicken and a couple $100 check, and that set things off for the next almost 10 years.
it is funny. So you cook for
It is crazy though when you break it down. Like that's how most of us get into this, right?
exactly.
You get a $200 check and a plastic trophy, and several years later, you look up and just think about all the money you spent and time you spent doing this hobby, and
Mm-hmm.
Some days maybe wish you'd gotten last and everything in that first competition and given up on competition barbecue. I joke about that. I truly don't, because it's been an amazing experience in this hobby, and getting to do it with my dad and the friends that I've met and everything. It's
So I
wouldn't want
always
it any
do.
other way.
I brag on the community because ever since I've been
Yeah.
part of it, people been so friendly and welcoming, and you give you the shirt off their back, and it's just no feeling in the world. Like I brought my wife to Memphis and Mayans, and just so she can feel the atmosphere that I'm bragging on, and they were so welcoming.
Yeah.
We in people tents and stuff like that, and talking and meeting folks, and I was like, there's no one to compare. Even people that you the closest to don't compare to some of the people in the barbecue.
Yeah, exactly. And I always say it's one of those things that, having done this, the just the way people are willing to help each other out, and not just at a competition, but getting to a competition. We've all heard stories of folks blowing tires, trucks breaking down, stuff like that. Somebody from the barbecue family is going to come rescue you. I've always heard that, and it's true. There's you can pretty much be anywhere in the country. If you're broken down on the side of the road, you can get a hold of somebody who knows somebody in the barbecue family that'll come help you out. And that's just I don't know. You don't see too many hobbies or events like that. I'm sure folks like their bowling leagues. I don't know anybody from a bowling league who get picked up on the side of the road at 3 a.m. when your trailer axle snapped.
Exactly. We'll start the game without you. You catch up when you can. That's what they.
Yeah.
So you cook for St. Louis Barbecue Society and KCBS. What's the difference between those? Is there any difference between it and the judging, or?
No, it's the same standard four categories: chicken, ribs, pork, and brisket. The St. Louis Barbecue Society used to have a 6 minute turn window where KCBS had five. Now they're both 5 minutes. The scoring system, like the multipliers, are a little bit different, but it's the same appearance, taste, and tenderness. So it's very similar to KCBS, and just happens to generally be a little bit closer to home.
And do you change any flavor profiles based on KCBS and St. Louis?
No, I run the same. Whether you should or shouldn't do that, I'm not quite sure, but I run the same thing. It's maybe for St. Louis Barbecue Society, I found that maybe they like things just a hair tighter, maybe not as tender as KCBS, but it's really not something that's in the front of my mind when I'm cooking. I just kind of do what I do, and if it works, great. If not, we'll get them next time.
Yeah, I was looking on the St. Louis Barbecue Society website, and I was going through some of the contests, the scores and stuff like that, and there's same judges everywhere. Where I looked at one of your scores, and it was like 45, 45, 45, 43. And I'm like, okay, it always got to be one.
Yeah. That's why they have a drop score. It's great when they all agree, but barbecue is so subjective too. That's why we really try to have neutral flavors and nothing too crazy. Because let's say you put a lot of cayenne or something on your ribs, three judges may really like it, and then two judges may not be able to like heat at all, and you're taking yourself out of the game. So we try to go for balance and flavors that everyone likes.
Yeah. So how many competitions do you usually cook a year?
Usually around 15 to 20. There's always more we would like to do. Working a full-time job and stuff like that kind of limits the amount of travel and those kind of things. And I'm selfish. I still like to take a couple of real vacations a year away from barbecue, so I don't use all my vacation time for barbecue like a lot of folks do. I still like to go. I go on a golf trip every year and stuff like that. And those are just things I'm not willing to give up yet.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I don't see how some people do it, especially the people to be chasing points as well as work a full time job. It's like when you got time to live, it's just it's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, you see a lot of folks that do it, that cook 30, 40 competitions a year and go after KCBS Team of the Year. Most of them likely own their own businesses, right? And you don't see many people working for someone else that are able to dedicate that much time to it.
Exactly. So I saw in the St. Louis Barbecue Society, I guess it was as of the 17th of June, it was You had first in chicken, tied sixth for ribs, second in pork, and 10th in brisket. Did you do anything different this year from past years that?
I'm always tweaking and evolving as the things go. Like what I do with chicken isn't the same thing I do 5 years ago. But to that point, last year were fortunate enough to be team of the year, and so it's just a continuation of that and trying to keep building on that success.
Y'all up by 135 points, so keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, we can get past pretty quickly though. Nothing's permanent in this game.
Yeah, I saw in KCBS you cooked 5 contests this year, and you got a GC and a RGC, so you're doing good there, and you won one of the big ones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. No, we've had a pretty good year so far, no doubt. I always say try to stay humble because if you're not humble in barbecue, you will get humbled really quickly. We're all one bad table away from a rough comp and driving home angry.
yeah, exactly. So when you won the KCBS World Invitational, I saw them. I saw the clip where everybody was around you and talking. What were you
Yeah.
thinking when everybody was? I think you got this. I think you got
And
this. Just leave me alone.
it's crazy because I should hindsight's 2020. I should have, but in the moment we had two calls. There were so many three call teams. After they get done with brisket, they do the US soy thing, which is the top three scores across chicken, ribs, and pork. So they do that, and we were like fourth in the US soy. A lot of times with those, that tracks, so whoever's first wins the comp, but it just depends. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I think we're going to be somewhere in that 10 through 5th range, right? There's a lot of three call teams, and then they start calling all these three call teams, and they haven't called us yet. So they get down to reserve grand, and I'm like, oh my God, we're not even going to be top 15. We must have bombed brisket. Like, they must have hated our brisket. And that's really what was going through my mind. And then I turn around, and our friends Brad and Jocelyn Cox from Local Yokels were walking up, and they had won this the year before. And they're like, get away. They're not even going to call us. The video, I didn't even realize that Drew Davis, my friend from Razor Racks Barbecue at Arkansas, was standing right behind me. And yeah, sure enough, they called us. And everything for the next 5 minutes was a little bit of a blur just because we knew we had a good cook, but you just never expect to take home one of those big ones.
Exactly. So during that day, did everything go smoothly, or?
I don't know about smoothly. We had a couple mishaps, but recovered, right? I think you're always going to have a few mistakes and stuff like that. Accidentally left. We always keep one drum hot to set sauces and stuff like that, going
Yeah.
through turn-ins. By that time, all the meat's off the cookers, and someone on our team left a lid open on a drum when we were taking chicken off after setting sauce, and didn't realize it for about 15 minutes that that drum was out of commission for a little bit while it had to cool down. I think it was probably somewhere around 1,000 degrees and whatnot. Luckily, most of the paint was already burned off of the drum, so it didn't do too much damage there. But just dealing with stuff like that. We hadn't cooked in a couple weeks, forgot a couple tools at home, but I don't know. I just feel like you're always going to have a little bit, some of those things, and it's just, you got to recover.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any pre-comp rituals? Anything that must have on the trailer, or superstitions, or playlists, or anything that you got to do?
Yeah, over the last year or so, we've got some friends here that started out in the St. Louis Barbecue Society and now cook mostly KCBS, but Mike and Nicole Mulkey from Mulkey's Barbecue, they do Saturday morning mimosas. So around 8:30, they have mimosas, and we've started getting mimosas from them. And I don't know, that's our lucky thing. And so they were right next to us down at the World Invitational, and they told us now if you win this week, no more mimosas. Yeah. So I'm not sure if we'll be getting any more of those. I don't know if the luck works the same if I bring my own, but that's it. I'm not too. Some things I'm superstitious on, some things I'm not, but I don't have any must do. It's just one of those things.
Okay. And what's your favorite protein to cook for competitions, and what's your favorite one to cook at home?
To cook for competitions, I like ribs the most. I don't know. I just think taking that one bite of rib is, if when they're nailed, there's nothing like it. I'm not, in terms of the competition meats, I don't really cook them at home very much. Like I guess I'll grill chicken thighs, but I don't do competition style chicken at home, that's for sure. My favorite thing to cook at home would be like a tri-tip or something like that, some cut of steak.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sounds good. In your opinion, what's the key to winning at barbecue? Is it flavor, tenderness, timing, or a mix of all the above?
I think it's tenderness. It's 100%. It's a tenderness game, especially we talked about already with classes and stuff like that. Most of us are cooking very similar recipes and if we're using similar products. So the way we really separate ourselves from our competition is with tenderness.
Yeah, it's definitely true. What's one technique or piece of advice that somebody gave you that changed the game for you?
I would have to say I've had a lot of advice. A couple years ago, I was really struggling with pork. Pork had always been our worst meat, and it's funny because I'm my best friend in barbecue is Chris Schaefer, who I think is one of the best pork cooks ever with heavy smoke, and I had been taking his class. I had hung out with him at competitions where I wasn't cooking and he was, and watched his whole process, and never really could figure out his pork process. But some friends of ours I'd already mentioned, Brad and Jocelyn from local Yokels, they're great pork cooks. And after a competition where I had three really good meats and bomb pork, I was talking to Brad and he gave me some advice and kind of walked me through what he does with pork collars. That was a couple years ago. We had 2 weeks off before the Royal. I practiced it once and went to the American Royal and ended up getting a top 10 in pork that year. And that's really turned things around for us. And now I would say pork is one of our best, if not our best meats.
All right. And you mentioned Chris Schaefer, but what are some of the other pit masters and teams that you admire and look up to in the competition barbecue world?
Obviously, Brad Leininger. I think he's done in arguably the hardest era to win in barbecue and just been an incredible pitmaster. It's truly awesome to watch and see what he does and the way he flies into a competition and cooks on borrowed equipment and borrowed tools and wins and flies home before awards and stuff like that. It's just incredible to see what he's done. Tim Shear as well, being in the St. Louis area, the way he's approached his businesses, starting Gateway Drums, purchasing Blues Hog, taking it to a whole different level. And then less on the business side, I'm very good friends with Bill and Andrea Hine with Triple H, who are world champions. Jordan Alley Kirkpatrick from Janky Leg. They're great friends of ours. It's incredible to see their rise and what they've done in competition barbecue and just the hard work and dedication that both those last two teams take. And if folks realize how hard they work at this and the way they dial things in, they would understand why they're so successful.
Yeah, definitely. And that Brad boy went up to Alaska and just won steak, and it's like he just
Yeah, he's I'm here helping out another team. I guess I'll cook a steak and win a golden ticket. No big deal.
dude
Just
incredible.
it's incredible to see. Yeah. And when you look at what he and Tim did when they teamed up and took on Memphis in May, cooking a hog on direct heat at Memphis in May and then win the dang thing. It's I don't know, man. It's
Yeah, it's like
truly remarkable to see people that are just that good at their game.
exactly. Every sport gotta have Michael Jordans and stuff.
Yeah.
All right. For if someone's looking to jump into competitive barbecue for the first time, what's your top piece of advice for them?
My piece of advice would be to I don't know that I have one, right? I don't know if I can limit it to one. First, it would be take a class. Second, it would be to manage your expectations. We see a lot of new teams out here, and with the availability of knowledge, whether it's classes, the barbecue league, stuff like that, they come out and they get just a little bit of success right away, and then all of a sudden they think that they should be winning competitions. When in reality, they don't even know what a winning cook looks like yet. And I don't mean that as a derogatory term, I just mean it takes a while.
True.
It is very difficult to put all four meats together at the same time to have a winning cook. Once you do it and you figure it, and it gets easier, but I would say the most important thing would be to cook as often as you can, but to manage your expectations because it's hard.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely, that's great advice, and everything you said is true. All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Now, if you could a dream team of pitmasters, dead or alive, who would you pick to cook with you, and what meat would each person cook, and what meat would you cook?
Okay, that's a good one. All right, we'll start out. I'm gonna take chicken ribs. I'm gonna have my buddy Billy Hine from Triple H do ribs.
Okay.
I'm gonna have Chris Schaefer do pork, and Brad Leiniger is gonna do brisket.
Okay. Okay. There you go. That's your dream team. Because it's harder than a Mount Rushmore because you gotta know who's cooking what and who's getting.
The odd man out here. Like one of them should probably just take chicken, and I'll wash dishes or go get breakfast or something for everybody.
And the funny thing is, Chris Schaefer said the same thing.
I'll build the dream team, and then I'll just kind of watch.
Wow. And I read something online. You got to tell me if it's true or not. You talking about you wore the chicken fried barbecue shirt in the Buc-ee's. Is that true or is it not true?
No, it's just a joke. But Bill Purvis did give me a chicken fried shirt. I do like wearing it with the Royal and stuff like that. But we all just give Bill a lot of credit. You probably do got to be careful wearing that chicken fried shirt around town. People start asking you for your autograph and want to take a picture and all that stuff. So definitely don't wear it to an airport or a Buc-ee's or anything.
When I read
Maybe
that,
I'd even stay away from the Dairy Queen.
I was laughing for 15 minutes when I read it. Oh, that was hilarious. All right, we're going to switch it over. Now, in college basketball, they have the tournament bracket. So what I came up with is a tournament bracket of 16 meats that you cook on the grill, and you just tell me which one you prefer to eat.
Okay.
All right, first matchup is beef ribs versus lamb.
Beef ribs.
All right. And next matchup is smoked ham versus smoked turkey.
Turkey. That's a hard one.
All right. Burnt ends versus hot dog. Okay. Pork ribs versus steak.
Steak.
Okay. Smoked bologna versus brisket.
Brisket.
Okay. Barbecue shrimp versus sausage.
Sausage.
All right. Pork chop versus smoked chicken.
Pork chop.
All right. Pork belly versus hamburger. All right. Next round, beef ribs versus turkey.
Beef ribs.
Okay. Next matchup is burnt ends versus steak.
Steak.
All right. Next matchup is brisket versus sausage.
Sausage.
Okay. Pork chop versus hamburger.
Hamburger.
All right. Final four, beef rib versus steak.
Beef rib.
Okay. And sausage versus hamburger.
Hamburger.
Okay. And final matchup, beef rib versus hamburger.
Beef rib.
All right, that's your winner. All right, I got another game. We're going to call this the rapid fire questions. Since you like baseball and football, they're going to be football and baseball questions. All right, start off with football. Favorite team? Okay. Greatest.
It's a tough one. I was a Rams fan. They moved out of St. Louis. I don't really have a favorite team. It could change usually. But I'm digging the Detroit Lions right now. I like what they got going on.
Yeah, they revamped and
They're fun to
really
watch.
good. Greatest quarterback of all time to you?
John Elway.
Yes. My man. I'm a Bronco fan, big Bronco fan. All right, best Super Bowl snack. All right. Defense wins championships, true or false?
30 years ago, yes. Today, false.
All right. Quarterback you want with 2 minutes left and no timeouts.
Joe Montana.
All right. All right. Baseball. Favorite baseball team, which we.
St. Louis Cardinals. That's it.
Designated hitter, yes or no?
Yes.
All right. Ballpark food must have.
A hot dog with sauerkraut, like a kosher dog.
All right.
I don't know if that's a thing in other stadiums, but Busch Stadium has them in there.
Okay.
Got to get one.
Favorite all-time pitcher.
Chris Carpenter.
All right. Would you rather hit a walk-off or throw a no-hitter?
No hitter.
All right. Night game, day game.
Night game. It's too hot in the summer here.
Who had the smoothest swing ever?
Smoothest swing ever. Long before my time, but since I'm a St. Louis, and I gotta say Stan Musial, but actually we'll go with Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, I'm about
You
to
gotta go
say.
with that.
What team has the best uniforms?
I do Cardinals birds on the bat. If it's not the Cardinals, as much as it pains me to say it, I'd say either the Dodger blue or the Yankee pinstripes.
Yeah, I like the light blue St. Louis Cardinals. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
All right, your therapy session is complete, Mr. Peyton. You have anybody to promote or shout out? You can do that now at this time.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't have a ton of sponsors, but do want to give a quick shout out to Heavy Smoke Barbecue Seasonings. They've been with us really since they started, and we use their products pretty much on all four meats. Local Yokels, they just came out with some seasonings last year. They've got a Sweet Salvation, your classic barbecue rub, and a Salt of the Earth that's your kind of SPG all-purpose rub. They've been great to us. And then finally, Cordy Meat Processing out of Highland, Illinois. They're a competition meat purveyor. They've been doing this for quite a while now, and Jay and Kyle, they've taken real good care of us. So if you're a competition guy and want to get some competition meat to your doorstep, look up Cordy Competition Meats on Facebook and give them a call, and they will ship a brisket or pork or ribs straight to your door.
All right, appreciate that. And I definitely appreciate you for coming on. I appreciate Chris Schaefer for making that connection.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
definitely, like I said, anytime you want to chat or have anything that you want to talk about, you're welcome. Like I say, anybody with the link, definitely just schedule it. You ain't got to ask, just schedule it. And once I see your name, you're good to go. But I definitely appreciate your time and you spreading your knowledge and stuff like that and helping other people that going to hear this. So I definitely appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for your time today, Tavis.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the BBQ Therapy Podcast. My name is Tavis Bryant. Please tune in to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and any streaming platform near you. Please pay the secretary on your way out, and we'll see you next episode.